Welcome, I am Yana the Heretic, and this is my channel, The Unpopular Opinion Becoming Popular, where we go through the human design weather of the week every 6 days. And starting February 7th, going to the 12th, we will be filtering Gate 49, the Gate of Rejection, or the Gate of Principles and Revolution. And this is another gate under the archetype of Kali. And Kali is the Hindu female goddess that is a representation of Shiva in female form. If we go back and remember, she is a destroyer in order to sustain higher principles. And this couldn't be more honest. This is the perfect epitome of Kali. And she destroys in order to rebirth. So all this gate is filtering is basically you're either aligned to my principles or you don't matter. Like, this is the gate of divorce or rejection, because as soon as these 49s figure out, oh, actually you're not really justified along my path, I have to continue forward, because their belief systems is their whole entire life. They would almost kill for their belief system. Now, there's a huge moodiness to this gate because it is residing in our solar plexus, which is our emotional portal. So the ebb and flow is pretty extreme. Us emotionals, we have to accept the highs as much as the lows. But in this particular gate, it is quite intense, the throwback between either side. So there are lots of benefits to this gate, but there's also a lot of faults to this gate, because it gets really intense. It gets really intense because it is rejection. It is the gate of divorce. So you'll find 49s always asking, their partner or their loved ones, like, hey, are you aligned to this? Are you still believing in something that is important? And the best example is like having a belief in God, or being a Christian or Catholic, or any type of belief you may have in religion. Or it could be politics, it could be like, I like to remind people of the Vikings show, because the Vikings were really intense about their beliefs, because it was either like sacrifice and pour blood onto the earth, or your whole entire village will have famine or experience death of their village. And it was really important to do these rituals for their gods, and they definitely killed people that weren't aligned to their beliefs, because that it's impossible to live under different laws. They wanted to obtain other kingdoms because they believed so highly in their gods. This is the gate of Warren Jeffs. This is the gate of what's that show? Escaping Twin Flames. That's a huge gate 49 to me personally, because it's got this like cult aspect to it where, I know what's right for you and you better obey me. And if you don't obey me, then you will never get enlightenment. So this seems really intense, right? So let's back up a little bit and let's talk about the good things about principles. And I want to talk about animism in principle nature. So animism is the belief that everything around you is of the same matter, and therefore everything is vibrating and alive and has a soul. And animism plays a huge effect on our life, because we have different laws that we live under on this earth. This earth contains 48 laws that we live under, and that includes gravity and includes just the role of every single thing. The animal kingdom, the mineral kingdom, we have laws that we have to follow because we were born into politics. We were born into tyrannical governments. Depending on which country you're in, you have to live and obey. And that sounds not great, although there has to be some sort of order, right? And a lot of people like to be full-blown anarchists against this, but in all reality, some principles are absolutely necessary, and there's a limitation to certain things in your body that you're capable of depending on gravity. So there's always people that will fight up against that and become magicians or other forms like alchemists that understand. So going back, so the Gate of Principles has also this relation to animals as well. And animals, I remember talking about this with Gate 19, just like about a month ago or so. Gate 19 is what connects the 49, and it is the gate of approach. And we are not filtering 19 at this time, so the 49 is really principled. Like, they have a lot of laws and rules, but they don't necessarily know how to express them correctly, and they don't know what to do with them. So the 19 helps balance that out and ride the wave. Like, you know, how do I talk about this principle in a way that's digestible for other people to understand my belief system? And but yeah, the animal connection is the principle of being like a veterinarian or a zookeeper or a breeder. And on the flip side, it is the butcher or the hunter. So it just depends on where people fall in this category. Yeah, that was like, it's an interesting time. So I always suggest people see what principles come up for others and see what principles come up for you this year that are extremely important. Yeah, you definitely don't want to like step on any toes, or like it's hard to get rejected by these people because it can be very intense and quick. So yeah, the emotional center is a wild one. So I am very curious to see what else we have in store in Kali for the next couple weeks. You definitely want to follow her rules, or else you're going to be slayed like the demons, you know, that are in her grasp. So definitely take a look at what's going on in your life at this time. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's a lot of fear that comes up with 49. Obviously the fear is chaos, and chaos is the direct opposite of principles. So they need to feel this rightness. And the funny thing is I was actually watching Alone, and it was like the episode where there was a Christian that came out to Tasmania and was super stoked to be out in the wilderness by himself, and he felt like the reason he could live through it and win $250,000 was because like he believed that God was on his side, and that belief was so, so intense. And then you see kind of that breakdown, and, you know, he definitely couldn't handle like not getting food or not getting like shelter or anything, because it was like, well, you know, I just want to go back. Like, he met his wife when they were young through church. So like these people need like this structure, you know. So that's the best examples that I have. Oh yeah, this one also has a lot to do with sexuality and how people view sexuality. So there's a lot of innocence, and innocence that is, what's the word? Overrided, let's say. So innocence is really important to people that are religious, and there's a lot of controversy around like sex and reproduction and sacred sexuality and how it should be. So these people are very concerned about what should be. So they either are principled in polygamy, polyamory, you know, they think that's okay. There's like these certain rules, there's just like certain things that you do that respect each person, and you are with one wife this week or whatever. And then the flip side is these people only will have sex to reproduce, and that's what women are for, is only reproduction. So they'll almost treat sex as a non-transcendental experience, a non-dimensional altering experience. So I just wanted to point that out as well. I want to read the questions of the week. If you have this gate, what are your 3 main principles? If not, do you feel some principles could benefit your structure? So, you know, I said a lot of intense stuff about the 49s, but it literally could be anything. These are people that follow, you know, science to its dead end, like math, whatever it is. It's like the reason they live, and the reason they exist is to be under these principles. And I feel like there's a lot of benefit to principles, you know, for structure and like knowing what's good for you and your body and your mental health and what pushes you to succeed in general. There's a lot of channels that express creativity and intimacy this week. So what kind of education would you like to see come forward in these regards? Education around intimacy and creativity. So that could be, you know, well, what do I want to express that doesn't feel comfortable? You know, that is personal, but really needs to be expressed. Me and my friend were talking about his website that is Sacred Sexuality, and I think that was extremely important because, you know, there's more humans on this planet now, and there's, you know, these principles like you can't be okay with abortion, or, you know, but at the same time, there's different things in effect that make people sick and make people die. And it's like there's a huge, massive imbalance. So, do we want people to have free will, or do we want it to be under more principles? And what does that look like? I find that sacred sexuality is extremely important because people need to know sexual education. You know, they need to know, hey, like maybe I should really value this experience more. I shouldn't just, you know, willy-nilly just have like 10 kids if I can't feed them, you know. And there's famine in certain countries that don't have sexual education, and they'll just have more children, and they don't value the sexual sacredness of the union. they treat it as if it's one and done, just non-transcendental experience. And I do feel like that absolutely has to change. And women should know a lot more about their bodies and about different birth control options that don't affect your ovaries or create like cysts or hysterectomies in the future. You know, I've used Queen Anne's lace for many, many years, and it definitely helped me a lot. I can't say that for anyone else, and I just suggest people do as many try to get as many options as possible, and also study when you are ovulating, because there are so many ways to educate yourself in this field without just feeling helpless, just because abortion laws are either here or there. And it's a strain because you want to provide the best life you can for your children, and that's not very possible if you're not in a good place. And there's a lot of controversy around that, but I will just throw these seeds down for people to be interested, because I think that we are in control. You know, women are in control of their body, and I think a lot of the government or the FDA or whatever else is out there is basically teaching us that we don't have the control, that we're rabid and savage in our nature, and that we can't choose whether or not our body is ready to have a child. So think about that. Think about, you know, your strengths as a female, and really hone that in, because that will change your whole entire world, and feel just confident and embodied within yourself instead of feeling numb and helpless and hopeless. So, how did your early stages of life shape your conditioning the most? Did your family uphold strict principles, kind of, or not at all? And how do you feel about this today? Did it actually harm you? So I come from a background where my parents are Russian, and they were Jehovah's Witness for a long, long time. And when I was 14, I was finally done, and I felt like that lifestyle halted my progress. I'm a person that loves to learn. I'm a 5'1" investigator, heretic, and I felt like I was just so dulled down, and like I had all these responsibilities, but I didn't really understand why. And I didn't feel like there was anything to really spark my interest to go further into the root systems. Although it was taught, there was almost like a bottomless well. It wasn't very much like definitive answer for me. But there could be a flip side. There could be families that were raised that don't have any principles, and you know, there's a lot of cases of, you know, CPS being called and all that kind of stuff. So there's definite horrors. And you know, did it harm you? Was it okay? Do you feel like it gave you structure? These are hard questions, so take them with ease if possible. Know how you are recognized this week, and what revolutions occur around you. So the one thing I didn't mention is this is actually considered an emotional projector gate, which means that projectors are meant to be recognized, and because they're natural guides for generators. And the emotional projector definitely wants that recognition. So it's still filtering for us, even though some of us are not projectors. So see whether or not you're ready to be recognized for your principles, and see what emotions actually, like, where you're at when you express these principles, and what revolutions you desire to create. Hopefully the type that increase a lot of flow within your body and a lot of strength and confidence. And that will be all for today. I will get back online next week for our next gate, and I'm super excited for it. I hope you guys enjoy.